I also hear that ghosts can open and close doors or move furniture. If they can do that, why can't they pick up a pen and write, "Hello, I'm a ghost"?
Because none of the pens in my house work.
And with that, we've solved it.
Hello and welcome to the CANTINA Chatter Podcast. My name is Victoria and I'm your host on this galactic adventure through all things Star Wars, film and television, toys, theme parks, video games, and more.
Aliens are real, but ghosts are make-believe.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, we have a little bit to talk about regarding whether or not some things are make-believe, some things are real. And Tom, this is kind of a spontaneous sort of episode. We talked about it before, about, the possibility of doing this kind of a paranormal episode one day. And we hadn't planned it quite yet, though. And then last night we had some changes in plans for the show. And then I said, let's do the paranormal episode. So here we are.
I'm excited. I've got more to talk about space aliens than I do about Jackson. Uh-oh. My cat's getting all worked up. She's all worked up.
Aw.
Hi. Maybe she'll make a guest appearance here.
Nice. So yeah, I've always found the paranormal to be interesting. I've never been like a hardcore person in any direction within it. It's just kind of been, if something's on TV, sometimes I'll give it a look. If it's in the news, I'll read the article. If it's something that somebody tells me, like a story, then yeah, that's interesting to me. But I've never gone out of my way to go to alien conventions or parades or all that stuff you see on TV. I've never been to Roswell, New Mexico. Never been to Area 51. But it'd be cool, but it's just not the kind of thing I'd go out of my way to do. But as you well know, I did a video on what I believe may have been a UFO, or what else are they calling them? These days they're calling them unidentified aerial phenomenons, right?
Right, something like that, because UFO sounds silly.
Now it does, yeah.
Now it does, but it's that's what it is. It's an unidentified flying object, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's space aliens.
Mm-mm.
Doesn't mean it's interdimensional beings from the spaces between spaces.
Right.
It's just, we don't know what that is.
We don't know
Someone
what it is.
Someone probably does.
Maybe. Yeah, so just to recap this for nobody who's seen it, I'll throw a link in the description. I'll put a little thing pop up here in the video. But so I was out one day running errands. I was having my car worked on, and so I was outside this garage, and when I was just kind of standing there, waiting for a half hour, whatever it was, I was looking at my phone. I was just kind of just pacing, and I look up and I see these seagulls that are flying up in the sky, and I'm like, I don't think anything of it. They're just seagulls, but they just catch my eye, and I'm looking, and then I see this little, a plane. It looks like a little object kind of just comes like that, and it comes to a stop. But so when it comes to a stop, it looks like a star, like a star, but it's 10:30 in the morning or something. It's why is there's no stars out at that time? It's a completely clear day, sunny skies here in San Diego. Very normal spring day. But then this thing, as it's still, it catches the glare of the sun. So I kind of feel like it's moving a little bit. It's got to be some sort of movement to catch the glare of the sun. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some photos. And, I'm thinking in my head, this thing is so small, there's no way the camera's going to pick it up. But I pick up the camera anyway, and I start just taking a couple photos. I take a video clip, and then, I don't have time to review it, or I can't really look at it carefully when I'm out, outside, of this garage. I go home that afternoon. I'm like, okay, let me just take a look. I had kind of forgotten about it at this point. Let me just take a look at my phone and see what's on there. And I had to zoom in on the photos, and lo and behold, on the last photo I took, it was there. It's like a little object, and it has like a little puff or something behind it, like some sort of something coming up behind it. Like when you watch videos of the sound barrier being broken, you see like the psh, it looks kind of like that.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that's in the YouTube video. It's like one of the shots that's in there. But then I was looking at the video, and I noticed like this little thing kind of like go like that. And as it gets like, as you see it move across the frame, it gets faster and faster. Like the velocity, the acceleration is just insane. Basically it moves like across the sky in like a half a second or something or less. And it's just such a weird thing. And how did this object go from moving a little bit to kind of just being stationary and moving like that and just kind of,
right.
What does that? I mean, you could say a shooting star, a meteor, okay, but a meteor doesn't come in, stop, right. You could say it's a, you can't say it's an airplane because an airplane can't take off at that we're aware of that quickly. Mm-hmm. It's in the video. I did some enhancements on the video so you can see this happen a few times. I zoomed in, I slowed it down just so you could get a better look at what it is. Later, I did go back and I went and looked at the object. I zoomed into different frames of the video, and I'll show these to you. But they were like the object itself. Like if you look in, and it's tiny, but if you look close enough, zooming in on the computer, it's got like these black like wings almost, and it has like these two white like things on each side. Like I don't know what it is. It's weird, but
it's swamp gas.
It's swamp gas.
Yeah,
That's
what swamp gas looks like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. Like I said, my YouTube channel, as as everybody listening, I'm sure knows, is toys, right? It's Star Wars toys, it's Jurassic Park toys, it's DC, it's Marvel, all that kinds of stuff. It's not about the paranormal. It's never been about that. But I was like, okay, I don't know where else to put this video. I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to throw it on YouTube and see if anybody has any ideas and, if anybody has any thoughts on what this could be. So that's exactly what I did. And, yeah, you've seen the video. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those odd things, right? There's been a bunch of reports of those in the past few years from Air Force pilots and, people in the military commenting on these things. They don't seem to have any idea what they are. Which I take that at face value. Doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens. There's the belief that these things are, it still ties into aliens, mind you, but that these things are secret, like real deep state tech that like super secret parts of the government only they know about, and so the main branches of the military don't know about it. It's just these like deep bunker sorts of stuff that's just way more advanced than we know about. There's always the possibility China's developed something like that. It seems unlikely. I don't think Russia could have. I don't think they've got the finances to be able to develop things like that at this point. So it'd probably be the U.S. or China. But that's even when I started watching a documentary last week. I think it's called Countdown to Disclosure, and it was dreadful, really, really dreadful stuff. Apologies to anyone that if is listening to this that maybe worked on it. Your choice of score for it was painful, and I just had to turn it off. But they kept the entire thing there was them talking about what those things are. They're all part of secret government projects, but it's from downed alien spacecraft from the past that they've figured out how to use the technology for. They're reverse engineering that stuff. Maybe I think that's kind of unlikely, because that would mean that your super secret government agencies are sending these aircraft around that could potentially just be shot down by, friendly fire. Maybe they would do that. Maybe they know that they're so quick that they would be invulnerable to such things. But I don't know about that. I like to think that maybe it's extraterrestrial, because as I've talked to you about the Fermi paradox before, if we're being visited by little green men from outer space, that means we're probably going to be okay. Because it means if they didn't wipe themselves out, we probably won't either. So I've got my fingers crossed that it's aliens, but
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I grew up in Vermont, really, really rural Vermont, and I saw some strange stuff up there. Late at night, lights that would sort of move in like little circles in the sky before darting off. I saw something on the interstate once that it was like a triangular shaped thing with 3 distinct colored lights that just, was sitting above the highway until I pulled up underneath it and looked at it, and then it went south. It didn't zip off really quickly, but, it wasn't making any sound or anything like that. It didn't seem to be, maybe 4 stories high, like the height of my building here. So not way up there. It was pretty close. So yeah, but up in Vermont, like, the idea of there being secret military facilities somewhere up in the woods there is pretty believable. There's a lot of empty area, a lot of forest up there, so I wouldn't be surprised about that at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually did attend a MUFON meeting back in, it must have been the late 90s in...
What is MUFON?
Mutual UFO Network.
Okay.
Yeah. It was in New Hampshire, and that was really interesting. I don't think I believed in aliens at the time. I think I'd stopped believing in the aliens. But I as a young teenager, I bought into all of it, right? This is around the time of the X-Files, and there were these documents that got leaked online called the Krill documents that we're talking about, Project Yellow Book, where we exchanged an alien hostage for them to be able to abduct people and do experiments on them for, God knows why aliens want to do experiments on us.
Yeah.
I think their technology would be up to a point that they probably don't need to poke us in our buttholes. But,
Yeah, no, it's interesting stuff. As a kid, I liked the X-Files too. I liked, the 90s. That's when the UFO craze was extremely huge.
Yeah.
You had films like Independence Day, Men in Black, and those were just capitalizing off the UFO craze of the time. Probably a lot of it was due to the X-Files, but you had things like those lights over Phoenix. I remember seeing that on the news. That was like a huge thing, and people to this day, even people that were in office, will say like, "Hey, it might not have been what we initially said that it was." I think it's the mayor.
Yeah.
Ruff. I think it was the mayor of that city. Like now he's actually saying, "Oh no, I saw something different than what we said back then." So
yeah,
it's interesting. But I never, when it comes to the paranormal, I'm kind of more somebody that needs to experience it to kind of say, okay, maybe there's something there. You can watch all the UFO videos in the world, all the ghost videos in the world. It's like, okay, we don't have any science that can really study this and analyze it and reproduce it, or in a lab setting. So we can't really explain what it is. So for something like that, you really need to, I feel like, experience it to start to truly believe, like, what it is. And this experience that day in March of 2017 did that for me with regards to UFOs. Because at that point, I thought it was a possibility that these things could be out there, but I also thought maybe people are seeing things. Maybe people are exaggerating. Maybe they're making things up. But then when it happens to you and you see something like that you can't really pinpoint, or you can't come up with any logical explanation, that there's nothing in the real world that moves like that.
That we know of. It
makes you question a few things.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a follow up to that. That's with the UFO stuff. I didn't need to see anything for it because that's also one that I've always really, really wanted to believe in. Like I wanted to believe that we discover alien life during my lifetime. At this point, I'm not convinced that we will, which is disappointing because I'm certain it's out there somewhere, and I want to see them. I want to see what it looks like.
I want to see the.
I doubt they're little gray men with big eyes, though.
Who knows? I want to see the stereotypical like science fiction B film from the 1950s where the UFO lands in the White House lawn and an alien comes out and shakes the president's hand. That's what I want to see happen.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or does this, right?
Something like that.
And then Zephyr and Cockrum gets him drunk in the ramshackle bar. It's from Star Trek. Trek.
Oh, well, then it went over my head.
Yeah, that would be neat. The 90s. Because I've always wanted to believe in these things. Like when I see the videos, and it's actually the government coming out and saying, "Yeah, we don't know what this is. Mm-hmm. We have no idea what it is." It gives me hope. That gives me hope. There's definitely the possibility that there's other people in the government that are like, aha, but we're keeping it secret even from you. But, they don't seem to be that good at keeping secrets for very long,
Right.
Like, stuff seems to come out most of the time. So that's kind of why, like, I don't distrust their honesty there. If they're saying, we don't know what it is,
they don't know what it is.
I think it's pretty likely that they don't know what it is. Could be wrong. Obviously, I could be wrong. Did you watch the Fermi Paradox video I sent you?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't yet.
You gotta do that. It's so good.
I know, and you gotta watch Unidentified.
Yes. Although I've got to pay for that, unfortunately. I'm bummed.
Okay. Yeah, so Unidentified was on the History Channel. Season 1 was 2019. Season 2 was last year. And, as I've told you before, like 95% of UFO like documentaries or series on TV are junk. They're just terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is like probably the best one that I've seen. And I think that's largely because of the people who are in charge of making it. Mm-hmm. You have Lou Elizondo who he claims that he was in charge of the government's program for investigating UFOs and stuff.
Oh, cool. Okay.
You have people from the government, like from the military, that have been on this show that have recounted their experiences. Like I sent you a video last night of David Fravor, who was in the Navy. He was a Navy pilot, and he has this crazy experience right here off the coast of San Diego, in the general direction, by the way, of where I shot that video. Mm-hmm. Where they encountered these Tic Tac objects that were moving in ridiculous like manners, and he'll tell you it's just like these things were unreal, and they had no visual signs of propulsion. They were completely smooth, and then they just moved in these crazy ways that defy gravity, defy any known source of technology that's out there.
Right.
And yeah, so it's just an interesting show, and it's produced really well, and they talk to people in various governments from around the world, and so it's not just like some kook off the street or some guy that's in a UFO like group or whatever. These are like legit people that if anybody, if you would believe anybody, it would probably have to be people like this that have had these firsthand experiences and that have worked for the government and such, and it's just really interesting stuff. So anybody that hasn't seen Unidentified, that's the one. Like if you're gonna watch any one like documentary series about UFOs, I don't know if there's gonna be a season 3, but I hope so, because I thought it was fascinating.
I think you sold me on that one. I'll pay the $20 to rent by the season. I watch my guilty pleasure, my dark horse, as a friend of mine calls it, is loading up YouTube documentaries about all this stuff. But a lot of the time it's really kooky stuff. There's like an underground alien war that happens in Dulce Base and, crazy stuff like that. Mm. As soon as they start getting into the Pleiadians, who are the good white aliens, it's code for something, I think. that they they clairvoyantly talk to people about peace and spirituality and essential oils and stuff like that. I'm like I'm out on that. Nope, and I don't think that there's reptilians that live inside the earth. Yeah. Also, I'm on the fence about alien abductions. Most of the time, an alien abduction story can be seen pretty similar to a night terror,
which I have,
or sleep paralysis.
Yep, which I get.
Yeah. But a creepy thought about alien abductions and the government, denying all this stuff is there's the possibility that all this stuff is very real, and the reason the government doesn't talk about it and covers it up and doesn't want people to know about it isn't because they've got a secret deal with the space aliens. It's because they can't do anything about it, right? Like, what are they going to do? They can't shoot the things out of the sky. They move too fast. So it happens, and then, they'd have to go up. Another alien abducted someone.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, the panic that would ensue from that.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have,
That's true.
I don't believe in alien abductions. I don't think it happens. But it's, if word came out in the next few weeks, oh, no, it absolutely does happen. It's absolutely true. We've confirmed it. I'd be like, oh, okay. It wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world. Be like,
right.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's true. If people said, "Hey, these spaceships are coming in and taking us, government, what are you going to do about it?" And what can they do? Nothing.
I mean, what can they do? They're inefficient. They're the government.
Exactly.
Mitch McConnell would come out there and be like, "Well, we're not going to do anything about it."
And then they would take him.
Oh,
maybe.
It's a dream.
Yeah, Tom DeLonge from Blink-182. He's one of the other producers on Unidentified. Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good series. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I forgot who it was that said it, but somebody said that people that genuinely do have like a UFO experience, or they have something like that gets them interested in UFOs. They always want to seek to replicate that experience by having it happen again. And I can kind of see that because like with this thing that I filmed, I've caught myself like going out and looking in that general direction of the sky from time to time. Yeah. And just being like, am I going to see something today? Will this be the day that I see those things again? And so far, no, I haven't seen anything like that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wish it. I wish desperately. Yeah, I'd love it.
I'd love to see it again because I really want to know what it is.
Yeah.
The government has not commented on my videos, so they have nothing to say. Yeah, so.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure out how to send out stimulus checks to people. They've got bigger fish to fry than space aliens. Yeah, I mean, you saw like Marco Rubio coming out and talking about it, right? He was like, "Yeah, I'd rather it be extraterrestrial than either the Russians or the Chinese. That would be probably safer for our national security."
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Yeah, probably. If aliens are here and they're doing this stuff, they probably have the technology to wipe us out if they wanted to, and they haven't. So,
Yeah.
that would be a nice thought. I don't understand why they'd abduct people and stick stuff in their butts, though. It just doesn't make any sense. No.
Yeah, and I think Harry Reid was another of the U.S. senators, former senator, who made a big push on this UFO stuff when he was still in office. Like before he left, he'd have closed sessions and stuff, and he talked to people, and he's featured on Unidentified as well. Yeah, I mean, so there are people, in the government that, want to have this exposed. But there's also something that was a condition of wasn't it of the COVID relief package or something that one of the conditions was like by a certain date, I think sometime next month in April, that the government needs to release like what it knows about UFOs.
What? I hadn't heard that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Is that?
It's true.
You're not pulling my leg there?
No, I'm not. It's a real
in order
thing.
to get COVID relief, we have to release the information about the spacemen.
This is from CNN on January 10th. U.S. intelligence agencies have 180 days to share what they know about UFOs thanks to the COVID-19 relief and spending bill.
Well, hot dog. Let's talk again then. What day is it? Yeah, that's in 10 days, right? 10? Nah, it's almost.
They had 180 days. They had 180 days from when it was signed. So,
man, that's fun.
Yeah, this was in December. So yeah, it should be coming up.
We'll see what they've got to say. I bet it's going to be, yeah, we don't know what these things are.
This is from the Washington Post. It says that UFO report may soon be public. This is from March 23rd, so just a few days ago. And it says that it's going to talk about advanced aerial threats, and it says a lot more sightings will be made public. And this is from let's see, this is coming out of whose quote is this? I want to be accurate here.
So hey folks, if anyone is watching this is just part 1 of this conversation.
Might be. Yeah, this is a former
Man, that's exciting.
Former intelligence director John Ratcliffe. This is what he says. And it'll be a detailed description of any interagency process from all over the world. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
That's fantastic. I was following that for a while, but then I forgot about it. Maybe it was back in January. It caught my attention, and I was checking every few days, but then I just totally fell off the map on it. That's exciting. Let's see what they've got to say about it. I bet we have no idea what this is.
Yeah. What else could it be, right? I mean, they're not going to come out. They probably won't come out and say, "Oh yeah, the aliens landed at Area 51. We had this conversation. They donated some of their craft for us to study." I doubt it's going to be that. So
donated, wink.
Donated. Like this.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that.
I love this
God. Too. So here's one of my dream. They've got the Kickstarter toys that they make. They've got like mythic legions and all this stuff. I want space aliens. I want little gray space aliens that have little flying saucers, and they're super articulate, and they.
Let's do it.
Let's hide little space aliens around the house.
Let's do it, Tom. I'm game. Let's connect with a few people and let's get it done. I'd like to see that. I think that'd be cool.
That'd be fun, right?
I mean, there have been things like that. There was this company called I think it's Shadow Box Collectibles or Shadow Toy Collectibles. I'll figure out what it was. And in the 90s, they did produce these little 0 POA, like 4-inch action figures of various aliens. There was like gray aliens. There was different ones, and I know because my brother had one. And
what was this company called? Shadow Box?
I think it was Shadow Box Collectibles. Let me look.
Oh, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, and they were cool. You can still see them on eBay. Yeah, Shadowbox Collectibles, and they did
aliens.
Yeah, they're on eBay, and there's just various kinds of 4-inch aliens.
Oh come on, that's amazing! Oh my gosh, yeah, he's a gray alien. Oh man, he's coming for your butt. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, a Nordic? Yes, right. Yeah, so the Nordics, right?
There's a reptilian alien.
You're kidding me. This is what I want.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. I want to see something like that, but I want to see them articulated. I want to see, like, accessories, like a little probe. Why not?
Yeah.
I want to see a flying saucer, like you said. Like, that's, like, the big play sets, the flying saucer.
Yeah.
And you can open it up, and it has all the, like, rooms inside it, and it's, like...
Yeah, like a coffee bar.
Yeah, and it's got, like, the reactor in there that, makes it have, like, that anti-gravity propulsion system or whatever.
Yeah,
it's got like a time machine.
It's got like a deep fryer so that they can make French fries in there.
Why not? It seems like aliens would eat French fries, right? They would like French. Who would? Yeah,
French fries are great. That's why they came to Earth to find the secret of French fries
and milkshakes.
Oh my gosh, no, that's
and milkshakes.
Yeah, brings all the boys to the yard. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, those are really fun. But it makes sense. It looks like they came out in the mid '90s, so.
They don't move. They're hard to stand. Is one of the issues. They're hard to stand, and they. So my brother had one, and it broke pretty easily too. So.
Oh, that's too bad. And you said there's a reptilian one.
Yeah, there's a reptilian alien, and I have one, like the gray one. I bought it on eBay a few years ago.
Oh, come on.
Just because I remembered my brother had it, I'm like, I'm gonna look for that, and I bought it.
Come on.
So anyway, with this little guy, because this wouldn't be a Cantina Chatter without toys, right? So so we're talking toys.
Oh my God, he's a man in black. with a reptilian alien.
Yeah. There it is.
He's so cute. I love it. Oh my gosh! Inject it into my veins, please.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
And then there's so this one, I don't know who makes this. This was like a random Amazon warehouse purchase. It was like $8. So here's a little guy.
That's so cute.
He glows in the dark.
I love it.
He's bendy, so he's got a wire in him, so you can like bend him. You can make him like wave at you. Hi, Tom. And he goes inside his
little flying saucer.
Yeah, he's got a little seat, and then you put the lid back on, and then he's gone.
Okay. I've got to show you one.
Let's see it. Yeah, fascinating stuff. Oh, man, this is really cool, though. I don't know. I wish they had more of these. I think Tom's right. I'd love to see more alien toys, like just generic aliens.
My wife is a big fan of Stargate SG-1, and she got me into Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis. They're fantastic shows. They're really, really fun. And Diamond Select came out with a line of toys for them, so she's got a bunch of the action figures.
Nice.
And one of them's this guy.
That's cool. That's rad.
His name is Thor. That's right, Thor. Yeah, because they all had names like from Asgard, Norse mythology. Because in the show, that's where the Norse mythology came from. Was from the gray aliens. I forget, what are the aliens called?
They call them the Asgard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're just called the Asgard. Right. So yeah, they look like this, but I put a little military vest on him. He's
nice.
cute.
That is cute. I love
They're
that.
super fun. They're super fun.
I love
that. They are not hostile. And one of them named Hermes, I think, is super funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
I need-
do it.
I think it's Heimdall.
Heimdall. That's right. Heimdall's the funny one.
Yeah, I need that though. An articulated range of 4-inch aliens that look different, and there's different like accessories and vehicles. Why don't we have that? Just generic aliens. Why don't we have that?
I know. Just generic aliens. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's talk to some folks and let's kickstart that
We'll
sucker.
make that happen.
We'll
with
make
our
that a
mind
reality.
Beam. Yep.
I'm now very interested in this concept. I really want to look into this very soon. Anyway, yeah.
Aliens. I love them. And yeah, if they're here, that means that's the answer to the Fermi paradox. That means we're going to be okay. So hope it's aliens, guys. If it's space aliens, if they're visiting us, that's good news. It also means they haven't conquered us, or if they have, it hasn't affected us very much.
Right.
Maybe they're Jeff Bezos.
Like in South Park, he's like an alien.
Is he an alien in South Park?
Yeah. He's like an alien.
Oh, that makes sense.
He talks telepathically too. He doesn't like talk.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I haven't watched South Park in years.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that would explain. Yeah, Amazon took over the world, right? So that's how the aliens did it. They just make certain your action figures get delivered directly to you.
They did it through corporate America. That's how they took over. Yeah. So there's also the theory of the shadow universe. I don't know if you've heard of the shadow universe, but it basically means that humans have, what do we have? 5 senses. We can see, we can smell, we can hear, we can feel, whatever the other one is.
Taste.
Okay, taste. There you go. This idea of the shadow universe is that we lack a certain sense that enables us to perceive UFOs or whatever else is in the around us. And because sometimes these objects have a way of transcending the senses that we do have, we are occasionally able to perceive them, like UFOs, like ghosts, like, that's why we have these paranormal experiences, because these are things that are really out there. But unfortunately, right, we just don't see them or notice them normally because we lack that sixth sense that we need in order to experience them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain odd logic to that. It's sort of in the way that, like, I forget how the analogy goes, but it's like an ant walking across, a concrete doesn't, isn't really aware of all the stuff that's around it, like the giant skyscrapers and its senses are just attuned to, well, it's just walking along this little thing and it's got to get its little food and it's got to bring it back, so it doesn't understand all these things. And that could easily be, the evidence of this stuff could be everywhere that we're looking, and we just don't notice it because we don't know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We're trying to find things that replicate how we communicate and how we perceive things. And if there's other stuff out there that works in a way that's different from that, we don't have a way to detect it currently.
What do you think of sorry, gotta cut that. God damn, what's his face?
Bob Lazar.
There you go. What do you think of Bob Lazar?
I'd have to watch Bob Lazar stuff again. God, hang on. Let me look him up and see which one he is. If he's the guy I'm thinking of.
He's the guy that claims that he worked at Los Alamos in New Mexico for.
Yeah, this is the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that he was recruited to work in Area 51, and that they provided him all this information, and that he worked to help reverse engineer this saucer that they had recovered in an archaeological dig or something.
Yeah, he's featured in that terrible documentary I just watched. Man, I like the poster in Mulder's office. I want to believe. I don't know if I do. I don't know what benefit. I guess this guy's got a speaking career talking about this stuff. But
not really. He's very private, actually.
Isn't it just a documentary all about him?
Yeah, Jeremy Corbell. He's a director, producer. He recently did a thing that's, I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It was on Netflix. It was a documentary about Bob Lazar, and it's just conversations with him. He runs a store. That's so he lives in a little place out of nowhere, and he runs a store now. And I guess it's been in the news a few times for being raided by the FBI for various reasons, and allegedly it's because they're looking for they say that he may have stolen some material from when he worked at Area 51.
Sure.
And so I didn't used to believe Bob Lazar, or when I saw his stuff years and years ago, I remember my husband and I were watching some old videos from the early 90s of him talking or whatever. But then I watched this documentary that Jeremy Corbell did, and it's actually he's really convincing. He seems like a pretty private guy. And just when you listen to the way he talks about it now, he says, I wish I just wouldn't have said anything because it's kind of ruined my life a little bit. And it's just he's fascinating. I don't know, I kind of think I believe him.
I'll just go back to my thing. I want to believe him. The whole thing about reverse engineering alien technology, I have kind of a tough time with, because that would be it feels like it would be like giving an iPhone to someone from the Dark Ages. And saying, all right, reverse engineer this. They wouldn't be able to do it. Right? Which doesn't mean it's not possible that's not an accurate representation. It's possible the alien technology is close enough to something that we could figure out, that we can. But even if you gave an iPhone to Galileo, he wouldn't even be able to figure out what to do with it. He was a pretty smart guy. That's my issue with reverse engineering alien technology.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of the time, it seems like it's used as an explanation for why we have stuff like iPhones now. It's humans could never figure out how to do this stuff. It's because of aliens. And it's no, people figure stuff out. It just takes a long time.
That's true.
How much more advanced are these guys than we are, right? Is it 1,000 years more advanced? Is it 1,000,000 years more advanced?
Yeah.
If it's 1,000,000 years more advanced, there's no way we'd be able to figure out and there's no reason to think they wouldn't be a million years more advanced than us.
Right.
We're not even the first species to develop on this planet. And we're not even like one of the oldest planets or oldest solar systems out there. This stuff that's, species out there that would have been here for, billions of years possibly.
That's true.
But yeah, on the flip side, maybe the little gray men are just close enough to us. Maybe that's why they're interested in us, because they're like, holy crap, it's ones that are sort of developed like us. Like I was watching, I was watching this little movie yesterday. It's called Jurassic Park. And in it, there's a Triceratops, right? The Triceratops has got his horns and stuff, So they all died off, right? The four-legged critters that had the horns on their heads, they all died off. But then what comes along later? Just another critter that's got 4 legs and horns on its head, right? Rhinos. The way evolution on this planet has gone is it's all pretty similar stuff, right? Like you look at dinosaurs, they're neat. Oh my gosh, that's cool. But it's like, it's not an unrecognizable thing, right? It's a giant bird. They're all kind of similar sorts of stuff. So I would guess that anything out there that developed on a planet that's similar to ours would probably have life on it, would probably be pretty recognizable, because it would follow the same sorts of patterns. It needs to develop senses, right? It needs to develop like something that can find food and move towards food. It needs to develop things that protect it. It needs to be able to develop, limbs allow it to move, right? Eyes allow it to see. Smell allows it to. So yeah, maybe the little gray men do exist, and they just happen to be ones that are real similar to us.
Yeah, that's true. And you're talking about these senses that we've developed, and that could be another possible reason for this shadow universe sort of concept. We evolved because of the things that were going on Earth, right? Because we needed to taste things, because we needed to see things. Maybe on this other world, there's different kinds of senses that you need to evolve to have, and it's interesting to think about. Regarding Bob Lazar, I think one of the things that makes him credible is, back in the late 80s, he spoke about element 115, that this was the special element that was required in order to propel these vehicles or power these vehicles. And I guess that's one of the things that they say. They say that the reason the FBI raids his stores is they're looking for 115 that he may or may not have stolen.
Right.
This element 115 that he spoke about in the 80s, they actually recreated it in Russia in a lab in the early 2000s. Before then, it didn't exist at all. Right. They actually recreated it, and I don't know. I feel like the fact that he was speaking about it before, and then it actually being a reality, I don't know. I feel like that gives him a little more credibility than if it was, if you take that element out of his story.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. I should rewatch that one. That's not the documentary though that has Mickey Rourke narrating through it, though, is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
That was I think a lot of my issue with that documentary was the weird narration by Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, that was odd.
It's just
that was odd.
Why is he grumbling about this weird stuff in this? What does
this
have to do
they
with
tried
anything?
to get pretty meta with that. That was that wasn't Bob Lazar's fault. Obviously, that was the filmmaking of that documentary. They just tried to make it really I wasn't a fan of that either.
Yeah. I think unfortunately that's the thing I remember the most about that. But I should rewatch it. I should rewatch it.
Yeah, it's solid. It's solid. Anyway, so what do you think about ghosts?
Ghosts are made up. They're not real.
Ghosts are made up. Oh my gosh.
My issue with ghosts, and I'm talking about traditional ghosts here, right? These are dead people that are still haunting places, right?
Okay.
Is ghosts? Well, there's way more dead people in existence than there are living people currently. So where are all the other ghosts? That's my one question. Now, 2, I hear things about ghosts I heard them say my name, right? I heard the ghost it said something. Well, if it can say that, why can't it be like, "Hi there, my name's Janice and I used to live in your house, but I was brutally murdered." I also hear that ghosts can open and close doors or move furniture. If they can do that, why can't they pick up a pen and write, "Hello, I'm a ghost"?
Because none of the pens in my house work.
And with that, we've solved it. Those are my big issues with ghosts. Now, there's the possibility that all ghosts end up being people like me, who, when we die, we decide, well, we're going to move on to another dimension of happiness or whatever it is, or I'm just going to hang around and fuck with people for a while. I guess that's a possibility. It doesn't seem likely, though. But so those are really my things against ghosts. And I tend to think there's probably another explanation for such things that doesn't involve people coming back from the dead.
Yeah, well, similar to UFOs.
You disagree with me, though.
Similar to UFOs. This would traditionally be an area that I wouldn't really buy into unless I saw or experienced something.
Right.
I have had a few experiences that perhaps you can debunk and perhaps you can help me figure out. But I believed in ghosts before I believed in UFOs. Like, UFOs for me is a more recent thing. I always was a fan of the idea of, aliens and UFOs, but until I actually had that experience, I didn't truly believe that these things were out there, in the sky or whatever. The first ghost experience, if you want to call it that, is that I remember weird experience is when I was a kid. My sister and I think my brother too, were playing with like a blanket in the house, in my parents' house in Texas, and a lamp that they had set on one of the tables as we were like running back and forth just fell off the table. Like it was right in the middle of this little table, coffee, like kind of like a coffee table, and it just like fell off and broke, it shattered. My mom was mad because she thought it was us, and we were like, it wasn't us, it just fell, it wasn't us. Years later in that same house, my mom used to have these artificial, like, decorative trees, like, placed throughout the house. Yeah. I remember watching TV. I was on one couch, and my mom was on the other couch, and we were watching a movie or something, and, this tree was right here, and all of a sudden it just, like, shook. Like if you were to grab it and shake it. And I was like, what the heck was that about? And I asked my mom if she noticed that, and, like, she turned around, she was like, what? And I'm like, the plant just shook. And she's like, oh, no, I didn't see that. That's weird. And that plant was in the same position that coffee table used to be, like, all those years before. So those are the only things that I had happen in that particular house. So do you have any thoughts on that?
How old were you?
During the first thing, I must have been like 7. During the second thing, I was probably like 13, 14. I was a little
13,
older.
14, okay. I would suspect that there's the possibility that while you and your friends were playing, you might not have bumped that specific thing, but you might have bumped the ground in a way that it, I could jump up and down here and knock something over on the table over there if I wanted to.
That's true, and I could do that here in my house too. But my parents' house is like on a concrete foundation, and I mean, there's no wood for that to, it's solid. So.
Also, I don't. When I was around 7, I saw ghosts coming out of my closet, and it wasn't until years later that I realized, oh, those weren't ghosts coming out of my closet. Those were stuffed animals, and it was really late at night. They fell. So the memories of children are fluid. One when you're a teenager is trickier. I don't have a great explanation for that off the top of my head. Maybe a squirrel got in the house. A bat. I don't know. I don't know why the plant moved.
All right, so let's age myself a little bit then. If the memories of children are fluid, let's age myself a little bit.
Yeah, because I know you've mentioned other things, right? I've heard multiple ghost stories from friends that have told me about them, And often they're like, it was the middle of the night, and I was like 8 years old. And I'm like, well, I think you probably had a bad dream and convinced
Okay.
you didn't.
All right, so let's age myself up then. Let's move on to age. I think it was 2020. I was 20. My grandparents had come over for New Year's Eve to my parents' house. And it was time. It was like late. It was like 2 a.m. So my grandpa was still there. He's having a good time, and it got late. And I'll drive you home, Grandpa. So I drove him home. On my way back, this is a small town in Texas, very flat. It's very, it's more rural than where we live now, right? Agricultural, all that. So after I left him, foggy night, super cold, 30 degrees or something. I was driving. Came upon this four-way stop, and there's these nursing homes on this other side, and as I approach this stop, I see there's like something out of the corner of my eye, like just standing there. 2 a.m, when it's foggy and cold, and I have this sense inside of me that's like, don't look at it, like just don't look at it directly. Just I felt like it was there, like a person, but blacked out. With like a wide brim hat and like holding like a suitcase or something.
But it was out of the corner of your eye. Like
No. I actually saw it like as I was like driving up. I saw it like that.
Oh.
And then as I got to
okay.
the stop sign, I'm like, don't look at it. Don't look at it. So then I turned to the right and I kept going and I looked it in my rearview mirror until the fog encapsulated it from view. Or, and I couldn't see it anymore. And that always, it could have been a person, but then you start thinking like, small town, 2 a.m. It's super foggy. It's cold. Who's going to be out there wearing a hat? Like at that point, homeless person, maybe somebody from the nursing home escaped. Maybe, I don't know, but it was creepy either way. Whatever it was.
You don't think it was your mind playing tricks on you?
I don't think so.
And the reason I ask is because like all of the roundabout description of this thing is an incredibly creepy scene, right? I mean, it's late at night. It's foggy. It's cold. You said that when you saw it, you got like the eerie feeling that you shouldn't look at it. I would question whether it is if that was just a simple hallucination. Not necessarily true. But I mean, that's like, if I was driving around at 2 o'clock in the morning in that sort of a situation, I could see myself, freaking myself out.
Yeah, that's possible. I was at that age. I wasn't really scared though. Like I was like pretty brave when I was like around that age. I was really more brave than I am now. Like.
Well, yeah.
And I wasn't even
breeds wisdom.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about like ghosts or it was just like what it was 2 a.m. I'm like. Yeah, I'm just gonna drive my grandpa home and whatever. I didn't think about it, but yeah, it could have been that. It could have been. Maybe. It could have been. I don't know.
Could have been a person standing there.
Could have been just a weirdo.
I don't know why there was a person standing there. But again, from where I sit, I think it's more likely that there's just a person out in the middle of the night than a ghost. Well, I'm not. It's not. I'm not meaning to sound like I'm not. Just because I don't believe it doesn't mean that I'm like, well, you're dumb and your belief is dumb at all. I would. This is another one I would be so happy to discover being wrong about. Nothing. Aliens would be number one. But to discover that like ghosts are actually, or to even, as you've said, I've never had any of those experiences myself. At least not since I was really, really young, at a point that I chalk all those things up to being a kid. That, the glowing ghosts falling out of my closet in the middle of the night. It was a stuffed Donald Duck and probably stuffed. No, I remember it was a stuffed Donald Duck, and there was like a couple of, they just fell out of the closet. But I was, oh my god, it's ghosts. So I haven't had any of those experiences, and I've been with people to places that are supposedly haunted, and have never had any of those experiences. So therefore, it's tougher for me. Like if I had one, and I know so many people that have had them, And they tell me these stories. I'm like, man, I want to be with you on this. I really, really do. I'm just not.
All right, so let's
that's a creepy story you told there.
It is.
I want to draw that. Just a man, a wide brimmed hat with what is he? A briefcase?
I don't know. He was holding like a bag or a suitcase or something. I don't know because it was like blacked out, so I couldn't really see like the figure was blacked out, like a shadow. So I don't know what he had. Or
was it like the
had.
cover of The Exorcist?
I don't know. Let me look that up. I never seen
Yeah,
The
check
Exorcist.
that out. Check that out. I was like, oh man, I'd like to, and I was like, wait a second, the poster for The Exorcist.
Yeah, it kind of looks a little bit like that.
Yeah.
A little, yeah, kind of. I would say the hat was like more of like a sombrero, like it was big, like a big hat.
Wow.
And they were near Mexico, so. But
Someone crossing the border late at night.
That would have been pretty far to have crossed, but
Oh, is it?
that would have been like at least 10 miles inland, but who knows. Anyway, okay, current more present day type things. So the current house that I'm living in, this room around me, this house, not in this room per se, but in this house, we moved in here in 2013, and we've had a number of things occur.
Right.
I know I've mentioned these to you. The initial thing that I can recall would have been in 2013, like maybe December or somewhere in there. I was in bed one night and I heard a male voice like scream into my ear, just like scream. And I woke up and I thought it was my husband. I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? What's going on? Are you, and he's like asleep. He's like, what? Like, was that you? Did you just yell? And he's like, no. It's like you're dreaming. Go back to bed. And so I did. The very next night, he wakes up and he's like shaking me. He's like, so somebody just yelled in my ear. Like I just heard like a guy like yelling, and I'm like, that's what happened to me last night. You didn't believe me, but that's what happened to me. So that was like our very first like thing. Okay, like this is kind of weird. Why are we having the same experience that neither of us have ever had in our entire lives happen? One night it happens to me, the next it happens to him. Like, just how is that a thing? That was the very first thing that we had happen here.
I've had that similar sort of thing happen to me. That's allowed. That's a thing in your dream, I think. And why? I mean, that just, it's weird. Okay, here let me come at it from a different angle. Let's say it's a ghost, right?
Okay.
Or it's a something, right? We don't have to call it a ghost. We
A
call
demon?
it a demon, sure. So if it's screaming, why are you the only one that can hear it?
Into my ear right here. Yeah.
Yeah. You're in bed next to your husband, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe ghosts that work different than we do.
That's a possibility, sure. In which case, yeah, maybe that's the case. I would say that it's likely you were sleeping, and that was a thing that manifested in a dream in some way. Because I have had a similar sort of thing happen to that, where it's like woken me up. I think even recently I had one where I thought like Lena was talking to me or something like that. I was like, did you say something? And she was just fast asleep. But not necessarily the case. Why did your husband have it the following night? That's an incredibly interesting coincidence. It's a spooky coincidence.
And we haven't had it happen since.
Yeah. You had told him about it the night before, so maybe he was thinking about it. It popped up in a dream.
Maybe.
But to manifest in exactly the same sort of way, that's real peculiar. That's really odd.
So that was the first thing that happened in this house.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you've got a roster of them.
Yeah. The following year, okay, so I was on the couch and the dog was on the couch with me, and that bedroom door, he was asleep, and I'm a night owl. I'm up late a lot of the time, working on podcasts or videos or whatever. And so I'm sitting on the couch with the dog, and I think I'm on my phone or reading a book or something, and the bedroom door, so we have this little decorative acorn on the door, and if you open the door, you hear it hit the door a little bit, tap on the door.
Yeah.
So the door opened, and then it closed, and I heard the little acorn tapping on the door a little bit, and I thought it was, obviously I thought it was my husband, so I went over to the door, and I opened it to look inside, and he's snoring, he's asleep, So that really weirded me out, because the dog was aware of it too. She kind of perked up like that, when it happened, thinking that he was going to be coming out or something, and she was going to be like, oh, whatever she does. And but no, it was he was asleep, and the door just actually it was completely closed. It's not it just went like that. It was hinged. It was closed.
Right. So it has a latch or something like that.
Yeah, it's got a doorknob. You got to twist the doorknob to open the door, and so that happened, and then it closed. And since then, that's happened it happened again, a year ago or something, or a couple years ago.
That's really weird.
Yeah, windows are closed, doors are closed, so
I was going to ask about a draft, because our door opens if I keep this window here open.
Yeah.
Then the door will open and close itself. But it's real clear that it's a draft doing that.
Yeah.
That's really weird. I don't got a good explanation for that.
Well, then, do you have a good explanation for this? All right, so I think the most notable one is the one that my husband, who's just every bit as skeptical as you are regarding these things, had himself, and this was more recent. This was last year that this happened to him. He was getting ready for work. He goes from his being in his bathroom to going back to the kitchen, and on his way there, he stops in his tracks because he claims that he sees a little girl, not looking at him, just a little girl staring towards the front of the house, towards the window, and that she's maybe like 3 to 4 feet tall, and she's got black hair, and she's just looking towards the window, and then he
inside the house,
and he just kind of freezes up upon seeing this, and then she just vanishes, and this affects his entire day. So when he comes home that day, he's I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I want to tell you, I don't really believe in this stuff, but I got to tell you something that happened this morning. And I'm okay, what is it? I'm eager, what is it?
Yeah.
Did you see an alien? Did you, tell me what it was. And then he tells me the story, and I'm like,
I don't know. I mean, if she literally just vanished in front of his eyes,
that's what he says.
It was not just a little girl in the house that came into the house and just then left, right?
Nope, no way.
Just that's really strange. Was he drunk?
No, he was getting ready for work.
I know, yeah. I don't have good explanations for either one of these ones. The door one. My question about the door one is, if it can open a door, why doesn't it do anything else?
Type its name on my keyboard right here, hi, my name is Joe, and yeah.
Well, ghosts are never from the past decade, right? They're always from the 1800s.
Yeah,
so
I have no idea.
Probably doesn't understand a keyboard, but
it's got letters on it.
It's true. Well, maybe can't read either, right?
Oh, true.
I don't know. Those are the door one is extra spooky because what I would actually. Do you have locks in your do you have security in your house?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, alarm system,
okay,
locks
right.
on the door.
Yeah, because I would be this sounds like someone was breaking into your house and discovered you were awake.
If somebody did break in, the dog would have gone berserk. Like she would have, she would know right away. And she didn't do that. She just when the door opened, she just kind of like perked up like and looked, and then like was like, it's nothing. She goes back to bed, and then I'm like, no, it was something, and I go investigate it. Yeah,
that's eerie. That's really eerie. I think if either of those things happened to me, or if like my wife told me that she saw a little girl standing in our apartment here and then vanished, I wouldn't be able to. I don't have a good explanation for it. None.
It's weird.
I'm not saying there isn't one, but
and I'm not saying they're.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a ghost or anything. I'm just like, what is it? It's weird.
Yeah, no idea. Certainly something opened the door, and your husband certainly saw something.
The most recent thing that's happened, and this was in October, was it was during like the afternoon. I was on the couch, and the dog started barking at something. I'm like, shh. And then from like another room, like I hear, shh. Nobody's in the house at the time. It's just completely empty. Something went shh, and it creeped the shit out of me. It creeped me out a lot.
That would creep me out.
Yeah. So that was the last thing that I can attest to that I recall happening, but it was I don't know what it is. I mean, honestly, like, we can say they're ghosts, we can say they're something else, or a number of things, I suppose. But I feel like there's something here that's causing these things, and ultimately at the end of the day, like no matter what it is, like I kind of feel like we've been in this house since 2013. Mm-hmm. We've obviously managed to coexist with it. Yeah. I mean, obviously it likes to kind of whatever it is make itself. Perhaps if it's intelligent, make itself known, and if it's mimicking my vocalizations, then I think it's probably to some level there's some intelligence there. Mm-hmm. The way I see it, though, the way that I can continue living here sanely is just to tell myself, we've managed to live here and we're fine after all this time. So it's not convenient to just like. I wouldn't change houses for something like this unless it got really bad.
I'd stay in that house.
Yeah, it's like
that's leaves you close to being able to figure out what it is. That's the fascinating.
House, yeah, and the house isn't super old. It's from 1951 is when it was built. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a little old. So, I'm sure a lot of people have lived here. I don't know who all has lived here before.
Can you find out?
So the neighbor next door has been in her house since I think she said it was like 1960 or something like that. And I said, I've asked her before, like, if she remembers previous tenants, and she said before us, it was a family that lived here, and they were only here for a few years. Before that, I think she said it was like a retired like military guy and his wife, and they were here for quite a while. I asked specifically. I saw her daughter-in-law recently, or it was a few months ago, and I said, can you ask your husband if, when he was a kid, if he remembered any little girls that might have lived here? After my husband saw what he saw. So she asked him, and she said that he does seem to recall some couple having a daughter at some point, but like he didn't remember the specifics. And I haven't really, with COVID and everything, I haven't been over there to talk to him, more about it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We've tried looking into it. My husband he's gone to, to the city to like look at like the original plans for the house and see what was like added onto it over the years and stuff. And he's been able to find a little bit of information, but not specifics regarding like who the names of the people that actually lived here.
Right.
So maybe if we did a little more investigation into that, we could figure all that out. But I don't know what it is. And I know we talked a little bit before about how ghosts might actually still be aliens, like
sure, yeah,
like cloaking themselves and just like moving around.
Yeah, I have no clue. Yeah, it's once it gets into that, it's there could be a thing. I would suspect it's less likely that it's dead people coming back to do stuff for the reasons I've mentioned before, which doesn't mean that there's the possibility that how all this stuff works when you're dead is just completely different. So I'm doing apples to oranges comparisons. But like Yeah, I mean, those are peculiar stories. They're peculiar stories.
A couple of times too, and this actually probably was before the first thing before the screaming thing was I was in the guest room next door, and I was like standing on a step stool and I was like putting things up on the shelf in the closet, and I just like gasped. I was like, because I felt like something was like staring at me from like this hallway right here, and my husband told me that he had that happen to him too at some point or another, and he's heard footsteps before, like there have been little tinier things like that, but I think I listed off the more significant incidents, and maybe it's that shadow universe thing. There's things that we just can't really sense, and occasionally we pick up on them, and I don't know.
I'd love that. Certainly makes things more interesting than my theories on stuff. If I end up being right, it's just dusty pipes and squirrels sneaking in and out your house. It's a pretty dull universe.
Yeah, no, that's true. There's got to be more. Our science has only gotten so far, right? I mean, the things that we
couple hundred years, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a long ways to go. Just because we haven't been able to pinpoint scientifically what certain things might be or how certain things work doesn't mean that there won't be ways to do that in the future, and doesn't mean that there aren't other things out there that we can't currently explain. I mean, the likelihood is there probably are things that we can't scientifically currently, assign like a rationale to or a logic to.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe someday somebody will develop like some sort of test that you can test for ghosts or goblins or witches or whatever.
Vampires. Yeah.
Vampires.
Maybe. I would love that. I want all this stuff to be true. All of it. Every single time I see a news report that talks about a new radio burst from out in space, I'm like, is this the time we get the information? And then the scientists are like, no, it's definitely not aliens, but it's still really significant because it's another quasar. Cool. Okay.
So regarding like ghosts though, like I do feel like the energy that's inside me right now that's communicating with you, you're states away from where I am. You're on the opposite side of the country from where I'm at.
Yep.
The energy that's in you that's communicating these ideas with me. I kind of feel like to some extent, this is just me. This is, a Victoria thing. Like I feel like when we die, what happens to that energy? Does it just dissipate?
Dissipate?
Yeah. Does it just like vanish into thin air and never to be seen again? Is like, where does that energy go? Does everything that we interact with, like this bottle of water, the fact that I'm carrying it right now and sending it down now, is my energy still like connected to that bottle on some level? Like anything that I interact with, anybody that I talk to, anywhere that I go, do I leave little bits of my energy here and there? And if I do, is it possible that energy is because I touch something, occasionally manifests in some form in order, sometimes to the point where a person can actually experience it and react to it on some level. Like, is that what ghosts are? Could it be possible that it's not like that we're dead. It's not that we're, it's not that people are coming back from the grave, like you were saying earlier, to just spook us or whatever. It's just that it's the fact that throughout our lives, we left little bits of energy here and there. We deposited bits of ourselves in our interactions with other people. And sometimes, those interactions, that energy just kind of like surfaces and we get glimpses of it.
Maybe. Is it that little girl?
Don't say that, Tom. Don't say that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that, one of the laws of physics is, energy can't be created or destroyed. So it just, I maintain it just keeps going. It's the energy that was you. It goes elsewhere, becomes other things, It
reincarnates.
To some level, right? We are all stardust. It's all, since the beginning of creation, it's the same amount of stuff that's out there. The same amount of energy has been there since the beginning. It'll be there up till the end, in some form or another. If science is correct about that, then it'll just be dissipated to such a point that none of it will ever contact one another again, and that's depressing as hell. But that's in trillions of years, so I'm not really worried about it that much.
Right. So, like, if what I'm saying is, like, where does the energy go? Well, at the same time, where does it come from? Like, in a newborn baby, like, where does that... Is that just something that they have? Or is it...
Are you talking about soul?
I guess you could look at it that way, or, like, reincarnation, or just, like... I'm just talking about energy, though, in general. Like, you know, like, if we die, like, that energy goes somewhere... Like, what happens? Like, how do we get that energy to begin with? Is what I mean. Like a newborn, like, I mean, they're a new. That's a whole new person, obviously. But like, I don't know. It just
it develops over time, and we eat food in order to continue to build that energy within us. Like, the little sperm, the little egg, they get together, and it starts to double and multiply. But the
that's
mother
how that
has
happens.
I mean, I thought it was a stork until last week, so this is new for me. I take it on the very face value. The energy comes from when the mom eats and goes in, and that's how we build energy. That's how we maintain ourselves. We feed.
Yeah.
But there's definitely the possibility that there's more to it than that. If you believe in souls, then that would mean it, it comes from wherever souls come from, which I wouldn't have an answer for. That gets into a highly spiritual sort of thing, which I'm no expert, is interesting, and I love the idea behind. Like, that's also like if you've got a soul, then the soul, does it reincarnate? Does it float around somewhere? Does it go somewhere else? The other thought, though, is, what were you thinking on the day before you were conceived? What was it like the day before you were conceived?
Yeah, it's interesting because we have no concept of what it was like before. Generally, I mean, I don't think have any concept of what life was like before we existed. Right? It was just like nothing. Right? It's just like one day we existed, and the day before we didn't. Like, we just showed up, and we came from somebody, and then we were there, and then that's when we start forming our memories and experiences and everything.
Yeah, and a sad thought is, I don't know if it's a sad thought, but a thought being, when you die, it's exactly like the day before you were conceived. It's just, well, you're not there anymore.
Maybe.
Nothing to be afraid of then, really. It's just you can't pay taxes again after that. That's you can't go get a coffee or see a sunrise again. But it's there's not like a thing afterwards. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. The things we grapple with as humans. We certainly believe that it's impossible for us to exist and then cease to exist. Or a lot of people believe that. I don't know where I fall on that.
Yeah.
I don't like to think that it's just that's it.
I don't either. I think it's kind of depressing to think that it's just this is that this is it. Like, one day you're here, the next you're not. Like, I kind of feel like, what was the point then? Like, I mean, obviously, we do a lot of things throughout our lives. We touch a lot of people in different ways, and we hopefully we make others happier, make them better people. We make ourselves, as we evolve, we help other people evolve too. But it's kind of sad, like, for me to think, or it's kind of scary even to think, like, just one day when it's over, then it's over, and you're never gonna the consciousness that we have right now to talk and do whatever we can do will just never ever be again. Like, that's it for us. Like, and there's never going to be any more concept of life or anything else to us. Like, that's just our time in the universe is gone. Like, for me, that's just a really, really unfortunate and sad thinking. And maybe that's kind of forces me into thinking that, there's, that energy does continue in some form, and we do go on to something else. I don't know what that is, but we do move into some other plane or some other, if you think of it as a game, we go on to the next level, another dimension, another universe. I don't know. But I have a hard time with that idea that this is, that's it. the game's up. I have to feel like there's something that, there's some other thing that we continue into.
Yeah. Well, I know why I'm here. As far as purpose goes, I was put here to collect as many of these things as I possibly can. When I go, like, these will last for millions of years because they are made of plastic. So, like, the next civilization that takes over after us, they'll be pulling these things out of my grave, and they'll be like, this man must have been a king. He had so many of the little plastic people. That's, that will be my legacy. Whether my conscience dissipates into nothing or it goes into the great Toys R Us in the sky, it's my legacy on this planet will be having lots and lots of little plastic dolls. I mean, action figures. Yeah. I told you I bought the green rabbit, right?
Jackson?
Jackson.
You did.
I did.
I thought you
was
weren't.
chatting. Yeah, I was chatting with you. I was having a few drinks, and I was like, heck with it.
Because he wasn't cute
Sorry,
enough.
I had to start talking about toys. We're getting... Welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we talk about the emptiness after death.
Yeah, that's kind of a twist from our normal conversations, isn't it? Yeah, but that we're more than just toy collectors. I think people tend to think that all I do is toys. It's not. It's like I have a lot of toys. I love toys. I'm passionate about that whole thing, but it's really a small part of like who I am and what I'm interested in, Yeah. So, I mean,
like me, I also like drinking gin.
I do too.
That's it though. It's toys and gin.
Toys and gin.
Turtles all the way down.
That sounds like the title of a good like live stream. Toys and gin, doesn't it?
Toys and gin. Well, next time we do this, if it's later in the day, or I didn't have a bender last night, toys and gin.
Toys and gin. Well, with that, Tom, do you have any parting thoughts you'd like to mention about any of this stuff? Or
I hope all of it is real. I hope that the UFOs are extraterrestrials. I hope that there are ghosts, and I just have not been fortunate enough yet to encounter one.
Come visit. Maybe you'll have
I was when you were describing like how much time had passed between them, I was like, darn it, it's like every 6 months or a year or something like that. If it was like every couple of weeks, I'd be like, I'm spending a month at your place.
And last summer, I forgot to mention this, but I think I told you before. Last summer, when my friend was living here for a couple months, she woke up one night because she said something was caressing her arm.
Yeah.
And she thought it was me having gone into her, which I don't know why she would think this, but she thought it was me had gone into her room and was like touching her arm, and then when she looked, she didn't see anything, so she just like pulled the covers over her head.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's creepy. But I've had people hit me in the middle of the night and woken up and nobody hit me. I just had a bad dream and like rolled over or something like that. So maybe. Spooky though. Spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any time there's a thing that happens while you're in bed, I tend to chalk up to dreams. Because you don't always know when you've fallen asleep.
Right.
And I've discovered that recently.
Or when you've woken up.
Or when you've woken up, yeah. You don't... Yeah, like I sometimes have a terrible time falling asleep, and I'll just be laying there in bed, and my wife might be like reading her phone or something like that, and I'm like, oh, geez, it's been like 3 hours. I haven't fallen asleep yet. She's like, you've been snoring. Tom, you've been asleep for quite a bit. And I just have no concept of it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've got nothing else to say beyond, I hope it's all true. It makes stuff much more interesting, and, doesn't hurt anyone to believe it. It's true.
No, yeah, it's we're all a product of our experiences and our upbringing and our, this, right? Our conversations with other people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, it's interesting stuff. It's interesting to ponder, what's real, what's not. All we can really buy into is our own experiences, right? Our own beliefs. And yeah, it's an interesting world. And I just don't think we've completely nailed it down to a science. And I think it'll be some time until we fully understand the world we live in. And, probably not even in our lifetimes will we know everything about that stuff. So
no question there. Yeah, no question. There's lots more things that we need to discover about stuff.
Yeah.
So while I can sit here and say ghosts are made up, in 100 years' time, the people digging up my action figure collection and watching this on their recordings will be like, "Ha! What a fool he was! He thought they were made up." And the ghosts watching along with him will say, "Ha ha! Yes, he was a fool and incorrect about the ghosts."
Yeah.
And then the Greys will arrive and stick stuff in their butts.
In the toys.
Sure.
It's
I mean,
hilarious.
what? You've never set up your toys and like, look, he's doing it in the butt. Just me.
Yeah, I think that's just you, Tom.
Bye.
All right, Tom. So where can our listeners go to find you online?
I'm Woozlin Demon on Twitter and on Instagram. I barely ever post anything on Instagram, though. And I mostly just complain on Twitter.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Yeah, so...
I'm a grumpy goose.
That's actually a good Twitter handle, the Grumpy Goose. Or
Grumpy
character.
Goose? Oh, God. There's got to be someone on there named Grumpy Goose, right?
I love that. That's got
They're
to...
probably really mad about Star Wars and Brie Larson.
I know, right? Yeah, so good stuff. Thank you for chatting with me about this, different subject matter that we haven't tackled before.
It.
And again, first episode of Cantina Chatter Podcast Detours, in which we talk about things that are outside of the normal realm of toys and collectibles and Star Wars. And yeah, it was fun. Let's
talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't even get to Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, or hobgoblins,
God,
or trolls,
vampires,
werewolves,
elves.
Yeah,
universal health care,
gnomes.
Canadians.
Yeah.
So many other made-up things out there to talk about.
I know. Totally. But good stuff. Anybody listening or watching this through YouTube, let us know what you think. If you had a unique experience that you want to share, let us know down in the comments, and we'll be interesting to check it out and see what you have to say. But yeah, as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been fun, Tom. Thank you for joining.
Blast and a half.
Absolutely. And we'll do this again before long with gin and toys.
Yes, gin.
All right, peace out.
All right, bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode. Victoria's Cantina began on YouTube, and you can find plenty of toy content on the Victoria's Cantina YouTube channel. We are also on Instagram, showcasing toy photography at Victoria's Cantina, as well as Facebook at Victoria's Cantina, and on Twitter, ranting and raving about toys and other nonsense at Vic's Cantina. For fun and random toy clips, follow us on TikTok at Victoria's Cantina. Got a question or something you'd like to share with us? Drop us a line in the fax machine. You can email victoriascantina@yahoo.com. If you are so inclined and wish to drop a coin in the tip jar, we are on Patreon, where you can gain greater access to the channel while helping to keep the content rolling. For VC branded merchandise such as t-shirts, ball caps, mugs, and other fun stuff, visit us on Spring and TeePublic. Links to all of these magical places can be found in the show notes. Do you got a minute or two? If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star rating and drop a brief review explaining why you enjoy the show. As always, I'm Victoria, and no matter where you're listening out in the galaxy, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Cantina Chatter Podcast.